of BrainTap. So once again, as you know, the algorithms are blocking us and keeping people from learning these new truths that we discuss in the classroom. So I want you to all share this information, tag people, text them, do whatever it takes to get this information out, because it's time to take our health back. So let me go ahead and get ready here, because I want to make sure that we have everything set before we get started. And I hit the record button because we are also podcasting. So if you like podcasts, you can follow us on the podcasts that we have, pretty much all of them, and BitChute as well. We're recording for BitChute. And if somebody can tell me why BitChute is not uploading certain people, do they have like parameters as well? Do you know of anything like that? So just let me know too. Okay, so here we go. I am going to hit the record. So today we have Michael Porter of BrainTap. You have heard me brag and tell you that I absolutely love this product. And we're going to talk about addictions, weight loss, and of course, yesterday we talked about trapped emotions with Dr. Bradley Nelson, and this is going to be like almost a continuation of that. So fasten your seatbelts, because we're going to learn and grow together. Time to dance, Michael. Here we go.
Okay.
The Lillian Mcdermott Show.
We love, we fear, bridges we burn, we make mistakes, then we live and learn. When life gets tough and it seems like your best ain't good enough, if you're in need of hope, you know where I'll be right here, right here. And when you need a friend, you can count on me. I'll be right here, waiting for you.
This is the place you can always turn to when you need a friend. The Lillian Mcdermott Show. To reach out to Lillian, visit her on the web at whenyouneedafriend.com. Now let's all learn together. Here's Lillian Mcdermott.
Hello, my listening and viewing friend. It's so nice we can meet each other on the air on this beautiful, best day ever. And for those of you who are tuning in to the classroom for the first time, please know I've been waiting for you. This is a safe place where you can go to when you need a friend. It is my commitment to provide alternative ways to heal, and it is my mission to make awareness, responsibility, and truth a part of our everyday life. And I hope you, my listening, as well as my viewing friend, will feel empowered to embrace a new truth and live the life of your dreams. Now, although I didn't anticipate this, it's working out really well. Yesterday with Dr. Bradley Nelson, we talked about trapped emotions. And as you know, there are different ways to kind of release trapped emotions. I mentioned the 4 questions of responsibility. And when I go through my workshop, we focus on trapped emotions, not just yours, but past generations as well. Well, yesterday we got to see firsthand that I'm carrying all my relatives on my back. So today we're going to focus a little bit more on the brain and how we can entrain the brain. So if you, like I said, you've heard me talk about BrainTap, and all of you, everybody who watches today gets an opportunity to win or to get the 15-day free trial by going to whenyouneedafriend.com, go to my Shop Now bag and click on the BrainTap logo, and you can try this at home for free. So what this is an unbelievable tool. It's a healing modality that will help you with, if you have anxiety, depression, if you want to release weight or weight loss, if you have addictions, if you have fears, phobias, if you are sick and want to have positive thoughts, whatever it is, if you can't sleep at night, this little tool has changed many people's lives, and hopefully it will change yours today. Now we have Michael Porter, and you've met Patrick Porter. So Michael is a brother of Patrick, and he is the National Education Director for BrainTap, and he's going to tell us how we can use this with addiction, weight loss, and more. And since it is our sole purpose in life to give and receive love and knowledge, I am so grateful that Michael Porter is here to do just that. Welcome, Michael, to the classroom.
Welcome, Lillian.
Well, I am so glad that you're here today. And I thought this is really timely because yesterday we had such great results with, people are thirsty for this information about how do we take our life back? How do we make sense of what doesn't make sense? So share a little bit about your background and how you got involved in BrainTap and what your educational credentials, what your credentials are that have helped you make this company even better.
Well, from a nutritional standpoint, back when I was in 8th grade, they wanted to put me on Ritalin, and my mother was just getting into health then. So she realized that wasn't what I needed. Fortunately, where we grew up in Battle Creek, Michigan, was Dr. Kellogg's Health Sanitarium. He was a Seventh-day Adventist. There was a health food store there. I started reading books back then, and we were lucky where we went to visit in Iowa was a great bookstore. So my research started back then into health, just getting a good foundation, not realizing that it was going to be something I was going to do later. When you grow up Catholic, you have hell, purgatory, and limbo as options. So I was looking to stay here as long as I could. And Catholic school was a little bit harder, but I realized when I got out of the service, it gave me a good foundation to be able to do well in college. And our father got us into this, and then Patrick called me when he was on his book tour in '96 because we kind of all did different things, but I was doing the nutrition. So he had me set up a nutrition course, which eventually became the course for our franchise in 1996. So we've been helping people since the 80s, but from a course standpoint that was structured since about 1996. We had over 108 franchises at that time using that system. We have one now that our practitioners use. It's very similar. We've just added on to it. Similar to how Patrick first started out with 12 weight loss classes. And then we would have a staff meeting every Friday. And what we would do, we would go over things that were issues. And Patrick began to add to that library where eventually we had 25. Now we have 54 different classes. So anything that you can imagine in the weight loss arena, we've covered, and we can help that individual become better, because most of the time they've not looked at weight loss from the mental emotional aspect, like you were talking about with Dr. Nelson's work. And his book was a book that I recommended to clients. If they didn't quite get it, Bruce Lipton's book, Biology of Belief, and also his book, because there's an emotional mental piece that we can help you with BrainTap. And that's the key. And you could liken it to auditioning for a new part, a new role in Hollywood. You get a script that your favorite actor or actress has played many different roles and perfected all of them. But what it took was commitment and consistency and compliance. And that's all they need to do with the BrainTap. The BrainTap can be the script for them, for that naturally thin person, for the pain-free person, stress-free person, smoke-free person, whatever.
Yes, yes. And what app, when he was talking about BrainTap, I want to let you know that this is an app that you can do with your own phone. And this is what it looks like. I was doing this just this morning. And but this is an app that has different, let me see if you can see it, has different choices. And you can, and then each one has, let me see if I can get that. Each one has different sessions that you can do that will help entrain the brain. So when I say entrain the brain, let's talk a little bit about how this works, how the BrainTap headset works, but how does BrainTap work in the mind so that it helps them, guide them towards what they want?
The main thing it's going to do is help relax the person and get them into a learning state. And once they're in that learning state of theta, it kind of bypasses some of those conscious filters so we can start helping to change the subconscious. Because what most people don't realize, most of their days in subconscious mode, and most of those programs are old, they're outdated, they're invalid, they no longer apply, but they've never had the tools to change them. That's where BrainTap can come in, because these are tools that we've used for over 30 years. And people often ask, well, how effective it is. It's effective for the person who's going to be committed, because our guarantees were performance guarantees. It's hard to guarantee a behavior unless you've got someone committed. So if someone's husband or wife or boyfriend or girlfriend wanted to join the program, they weren't automatically accepted. We had an evaluation they had to go through to see if they were going to be a good fit. We didn't want somebody in our waiting room with 20 people talking about something that wasn't working, or in our classroom. So we wanted people who were dedicated. And what we found was the people who came to our centers had tried everything, but they hadn't tried to change their mind. So this gives them an opportunity, like you were with your guest yesterday, to be able to change these things. And to use an example of that I used to use with quantum healing, Deepak Chopra's work, he had radioisotope studies on different parts of the body, and they showed that you get a new liver every 5 weeks. But why would you get a dysfunction? Why would you still have a dysfunctional liver 5 weeks later? And like Deepak Chopra showed, because of distorted thinking. So a lot of these issues that people are relating to are based on their thinking, but they haven't really had the tools to change that. So like you said, all someone has to do is just sit back, relax. We put you into that learning state with the light and the sound. And then the rest is history, if you can have that consistency and compliance.
You know, I've said this before, and I've had Jason Stevenson in the classroom, and when I'm interacting with him, he and his voice, I'm able to go to that, to meditate, to relax. But as far as I remember the first time I met you, Michael, and you put me on a headset, you tested my brain, and is it the heart variability?
Heart rate variability and digital pulse analysis.
Yes. And so you checked what my age was before, my stress level before I did the brain tap. And then within a 15-minute period, the stress level, everything about my body had changed to probably, 30, 50, 60% improvement. And that was just 15%. How is it that BrainTap, that something like this can create such a deep meditative state when you haven't even been able to meditate? Because my brain is like, I gotta think, but when I hear something, I'm listening. And there's so many different things that's going on with the headset, although you don't need the headset. That's why I want you to go to my website at whenyouneedafriend.com, click on my shopping bag, and get your 15-day free trial. Although I don't need, we don't need that, but the headset just made me go to a relaxed, calm state. What are the phases that BrainTap takes us through, and how quickly can we get to that meditative state when people can't even meditate sometimes?
Well, Patrick's been able to show with EEG, people hooked up, trying to meditate in their brain going up and down. When you're with BrainTap, it syncs with it. And as the BrainTap is taking you down from beta to alpha to theta, it follows, even if the person falls asleep. So it's the entrainment, similar to you've heard us talk about with the ocean waves. If you've had a stressful day and you just sit down in front of the ocean with that 10 hertz coming in, you're going to start resonating with that 10 hertz. So it's really the lights that are the key, because we've tested a lot of people that meditate and no one's been able to beat the BrainTap yet when we do a pre and post with them. And if you think of the eyes, they're just extended brain tissue. So with your eyes closed, the optic nerve is still syncing with those pulses. And as they lower, your brain's lowering with it. And there's no struggle involved. We've had 2 people come into our office this week, were salespeople that wondered what we did. And we put them on a session and they got up just so amazed. They've never had anything relax them like that before.
Can't even see the lights flashing, but there's lights flashing on here. I think I see it. You see it now. You see how it's flashing? And that just you close your eyes and you see that in your mind's eye. It doesn't bother you. And then you have the ears, and then you have the music, you have the voice, and you have the beats and the tones. How are you guys able to make this work to get you to that place where you are at 100% just totally relaxed?
Well, a lot of what was out there in the research before we found this 30 years ago, we're still using. We've amplified it more with what some of our practitioners have wanted. And that's another thing. Patrick's making sessions probably right now. He does about 150 a year. So we're also adding to the library when we find there's other things that people can work on. But for the most part, like you were mentioning, there's over 55 different categories and over 1,000 different sessions. We've got 2,300 practitioners in 40 countries using BrainTap.
Different languages too. Different languages.
Yes.
You have it in Spanish and
I think there's about 12 languages right now that we have. And as we get people who can read the scripts for us, we'll have more that will help people in some of these other countries.
Yes, yes. Okay, so when it comes to addictions, whether it's food or drugs, because you guys had the weight loss clinic, and people were going there because they wanted, everything else failed. And so what were some of you said you had them take a profile. What were some of the similarities that they had?
Well, one of the most important things that we did is you have to substitute something for the addiction. If we can use smoking for an example, you have to substitute something for the time of the cigarette. If you don't, you can't create a void. The subconscious is going to go and get what was originally there. So for some people, it was getting them to drink water, sucking water through a straw, maybe taking deep breaths. Chewing the gum was one of those things. But the key is if you don't substitute something for it, we had good success. Probably 80% of the people we had stopped during the first session. But what Patrick found over time was there were reasons that people went back to smoking. Someone passed away in their family. They broke up in a relationship. They lost their job. They had stress, etc. So we created a 12-week program that covered all the reasons of why they might have went back to smoking, so they would be prepared for life if that happened. So our sessions cover not only that original stopping, but helping you understand some of the triggers and anchors that might have caused you to do that. Part of what we would do is have them do something different in the morning, not keeping the same routines, drive a different way to work. We wanted to change that so that their subconscious saw them as a smoke-free person and wasn't doing the behaviors of the smoker. So that's really what we were doing. No matter what addiction it was, we were trying to find, because remember, the smoking was doing something for them and they were getting something out of it. But again, what it was doing for them originally was probably cool for them to smoke. The subconscious doesn't know the difference between yesterday and 30 years ago. So the reason they started is the reason they're continuing. They just don't know it. So once they're aware of that, they can change that. Because a habit is something you don't know you're doing. Once you know you're doing, it's choice. So we would teach them that. So most of the time it was getting them to understand, to empower them.
And now the different sessions with BrainTap, so that 12-week course, is that in here?
Yes.
So they are able to listen to this 12-week course. Okay. And so when they're learning this, and they're just relaxed. And when they're relaxed, they're able to learn more. Is that what you're saying? So
what happens is in that, there's two reasons you do anything. One's to avoid pain, one's to arrive at pleasure. So they want the pleasure being smoke-free now. Those are the suggestions we're giving them. So what's happening is in life, there's going to be a fork in the road for them. They're going to choose how they used to do it or how they want to do it now. And as they start choosing the new behavior, that pathway strengthens, the other atrophies, and that becomes easy, effortless, and automatic for them until they want to change to a new habit. That's how simple it is. None of these things are hard, but it takes consistency, compliance, and you have to be committed.
Absolutely. Absolutely. That commitment.
Mhm.
And we talked about this in the workshop, the I Am the Solution workshop, is feelings versus commitment.
Mhm.
And people that go by their feelings are all over the place and they miss out on a lot. They miss out on a lot and they hurt themselves quite a bit. Now there's a time to go on your intuition and that's always good. But when you go on your commitment and you're a kind of feelings person and when you go on your commitment, you're committed to the commitment to get well. That is a totally different, it'll end better for you if you are committed to the commitment of releasing whatever it is, whatever behavior it is that you want to release. So when you have somebody that comes in, well, now you got it you've bottled it up here. Now it's here.
Yeah.
And you guys are doing this worldwide. So it doesn't matter where you're from. If you are listening today and you want to try this for free, you can go to whenyouneedafriend.com. Go to my little shop now bag. It's in the homepage. Click on it and click on the icon that says the 15-day free trial for BrainTap. Go check it out there and register. It's free. Now, if you decide that you want to do a little bit longer, I think it's like $1.99 to go 45 days, which is a great bargain. And then if you decide that you want to do the headset, do we have any specials for the headsets now?
There's a special that you can give them. It'll be $100 off.
$100 off. Okay. Okay, so let me know if you guys want that. Just text me at 407-373-5959. But this is the most wonderful tool. Okay, so with that in mind, somebody goes in, maybe they want to quit smoking, which there's a lot of people that have substituted smoking for vaping. And to me, when you must substitute to something that is good for you. No one ever goes into a burning building to breathe the smoke. No one ever does. There are people who die to save your life, but yet we're inhaling the smoke all the time. When I say we, I mean the people who smoke.
And that's a good example. That's a good example because a lot of times what we would tell the person is when you had stress and you had a cigarette, you were getting away from the problem. You were thinking problems and problem solving and contemplating for 1 hour a day for those 20 cigarettes. So we would have the person still take those, maybe not 20 breaks a day, but take those breaks, have a piece of paper, have your glass of water, still contemplate and problem solve and think, because that's what the cigarette was helping with. You were doing deep breathing for a whole hour, each of those times, but you don't need a cigarette to deep breathe. So that's what we would show people. That's really what they wanted. They had to get away, think, contemplate, problem solve, but they didn't need a cigarette to do that. Once we showed them that, they could be smoke-free.
So is an addictive personality across the board? Can you help somebody? If you help somebody with one addiction, are you really helping them with all addictions, or are they different?
Well, I think what BrainTap does, it helps your self-image, self-esteem, and self-worth. Everyone needs help there, even though they don't think so. So once you're self-empowered and you know that you're in control, those other things don't control you. Because like we said a minute ago, a habit is something you don't know you're doing. Once you know you're doing it, it's a choice. So they can continue to choose to do it, but it's their choice. And again, there's two reasons you do anything. One's to avoid pain, the other one's to arrive at pleasure. And if being smoke-free, pain-free, stress-free, if their ideal weight, if that's what their goal is, and they're going to continue to move in that direction. And our sessions are positive in that manner.
I love your sessions. My favorite ones, my go-to are the sleep RX. So I used to have a problem falling asleep, and I started using BrainTap or staying asleep. I started using BrainTap, and that completely, before the session was over, I'd be asleep, and Robert would sometimes take my headset off, or I would wake up, turn it off, put it down, and I'd still be able to sleep. That was, and now even if I don't do BrainTap at night, I still can fall asleep. I can still stay asleep. So what happened to my brain during that time where it used to be that I couldn't fall asleep, that I had so much to do? What happened to my brain?
Well, again, what you brought up is a good point for weight loss. Back in the late 90s, early 2000s, they started talking about how sleep was a part of weight loss, but we really couldn't show people. The test that I did with you, I can show people, which would have been helpful 20 years ago. If the scale didn't move and they got discouraged and didn't think it was working, I could show them how their stress and sleep were preventing them from losing weight. So for you, you might have been working very hard and you were exhausted, but when you got to bed, your body was overstimulated and overaroused and you couldn't sleep. And if you don't get the deep, restful, and uninterrupted sleep, you're not going to heal and recover, and you're not going to be able to keep at your ideal weight either. Mm-hmm. So BrainTap also helps from helping you have less stress and sleep better, which are two important components for weight loss, just as important as exercise and diet.
Yeah, absolutely.
And the thinking, because what I used to have to go around to some of our different franchise and work on the people who weren't losing. I said, put them all in the same room because I knew it was all the same thing. And when I asked them, what's the picture you're reinforcing in your subconscious? It wasn't the naturally thin self. It was the person that was fat, that was ugly. There was all these things they would tell me. So it's kind of like that was their self-fulfilling prophecy. They didn't realize that they were getting exactly what they ordered from their subconscious.
Well, yes, exactly. What we focus on expands.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
So brain does not know the difference between do and don't. It does not. So what it hears is whatever you say. It's like, don't smoke. It says smoke. And like do you remember a long time ago, there was a campaign, don't do drugs.
Yes.
And so they went to the preschools, elementary schools and high schools, and they gave them like pencils that says, don't do drugs. And next thing you know, there's a rise. And they started looking at that, and it works almost like the pencil sharpener. All of a sudden, there's don't do drugs. The don't is gone. It says do drugs. And then the next thing is drugs. So, they realized that the campaign should be sober, be sober. And so if you want to get off of drugs or cigarette smokes or alcohol or food, they're all, it's like you say, I am healthy, I'm eating well, or you can get the BrainTap that will help you do that for yourself. So we have some questions, Michael. So I want to, so anyone who has a question, because we have a hard out today, because I've got another commitment that I need to go to, I want you to write a Q. And once I see that cue, I see that you have a question. I know all of you have questions because, yesterday, again, with Dr. Bradley Nelson, I could tell that there is a void in many of us. We know there's something going on in our body. We just do not know what it is. We don't know what we don't know. And that's where we spend the majority of our life doing, is just trying to second guess. And those like Bruce Lipton. Bruce Lipton has been in the classroom, and I had shared that with Michael. And he was just like thrilled. He loves Bruce Lipton. But I remember in 2013, when I learned directly from Bruce Lipton that the brain has over 70,000 thoughts, between 50 to 70,000 thoughts. 90% of those thoughts are repetitive, and 80% of those thoughts are negative. So we have got to figure out ways. If you're, that's what I Am the Solution is about. The workshop that I do is to rewrite the program. That's what Bruce said to me. I said, Dr. Lipton, and I said, well, how is it that if we're only using 10% of our mind, and that we are present in 10% only, what do we need to do? How do we increase these repetitive thoughts? How do we decrease them? And he said, you rewrite the program. So is this what this is doing, rewriting the program? Can you share a little bit about that while I look and see if there's any questions? Go ahead.
So what happens is, like we said, when you're in that learning state, you bypass a lot of the conscious filters. So you're taking this information in. Now, again, the information's there, but you still have to act on it. So it's not going to make you do it. But like we said, there's two reasons you do anything. So now you're in that circumstance or situation. You can either do what you've always done or take in the new information that BrainTap has given you, these new suggestions, these new alternatives, these new choices. And then once you start seeing the benefit of those, that's what rewires that. So again, you want the data there so that your subconscious has a choice between them. And then it's going to make the most positive choice that it can at the time. That's why BrainTap, we think people are perfect, but if they change, they're just going to be perfect in a different way. So you're always perfect based on your programming, conditioning, and learned behaviors. So we don't think anybody's broke or needs to be fixed, but we can reprogram you in a positive way to be more beneficial in whatever you want to do.
Yes. And you're talking about programming, and we have to be very careful with our mind because there's a lot of programming that we subject ourselves to, like watching television, mainstream media. We are being told what to do all the time. Why would we not fear that the programming on BrainTap has, some control mechanism, or,
We could always
I
share
hear
this.
and obey?
We could always share the script with people of what we do. But the key is, for people who might be worried about that, we have music sessions with tones and beats that can take you to alpha or theta. So you
Yeah,
can go there just with
awesome.
music. But again, most people need help with the visualization, and everything we do is positive and constructive. The other thing is for most people, they're going to take this information and use it through their filters, how they see that from that standpoint. And it's really up to them. And even before Bruce Lipton, Cleve Baxter did work with plants when he hooked his polygraph plants up. So that's what we used to tell clients. Back in the 60s, he was an ex-CIA polygraph specialist. He hooked his plants up and he got his plant to react by saying he was going to light the leaf on fire. So I used to tell people, if that leaf can understand what he was going to do with that match, your cells are listening to everything you're saying.
Oh my
So look up Cleve
goodness.
Baxter's work. Patrick got to see Cleve and Bruce Lipton back in 1989 in Barbados at a conference. So I learned a little bit more about both of them there. But his protege wrote a book called, I'll think of it, but it was based on his work. It was Primitive, I think it was Primitive Mind.
I'll check it out.
Mhm.
Because I believe there's a thirst for this right now. I was blown away about some of the things I learned yesterday. And I've learned, I've known, I've gone to, I don't know if you know who Dr. Mona Lisa Scholes is. So I took her course, and it's medical intuition, medical intuition, where depending on where the pain is in your body, it will lead you to the root cause. And so I thought, okay, well, that was the first time I started learning about trapped emotions. Then, taking ownership and responsibility, going from that victim to that empowered mentality. This is what I talk about in my workshops. But to know that you can actually demagnetize that emotion out of your body is just too easy. It's almost too easy, right?
Yes. Another simple book that people can start with is Healing Your Body by Louise Haye. She has an easy way of showing the psycho-emotional causes. And we were lucky. When I came home from the Air Force, my dad had a book, Psychic Discoveries Behind the Iron Curtain. And we had two psychologists from America go over there and discover how they were forwarding how the mind works. Now, some of these people, 7-8 hours, they were doing this type of training, but it just showed us how powerful the mind was back then. And we were always fascinated with it.
Yes, yes. Okay, so we have a question here from Karen. She says, if someone is trying to stop late night eating out of boredom, what would you suggest replacing the food with? Water? Water, Karen, water.
Typically, if someone out of boredom, I would just pick celery or other vegetables, cucumbers, things like that. Even
though when you go to bed, you want to be completely digested?
Well,
because you go into the catabolic state, you need to be it has to be, digestion process has to be done.
I think if you could talk to a person and they could understand that, that's great. But in the class, we could go over some of the things. I would say she needs nothing but water, technically. But if she wanted something, I always go to vegetables. Usually that hunger is based on her not getting balanced meals. Otherwise, she would be, the thing is you want to be burning fat in between meals. And if you're providing food in between meals, it'll stop the fat burning, because your bloodstream only has about 1 teaspoon of sugar. That's 5 grams. So it's not going to go looking for stored fuel if you keep giving it circulating fuel. Now, we're not talking about the athlete we're talking about the person who wants to stimulate fat burning.
Now, let's go even deeper to Karen's question.
Mm-hmm.
She says she is eating out of boredom. So it tells me that she's not hungry. It's comfort. So
We have a session for that.
Okay, so that's what I want to talk about. Let's talk about that session.
Right. So we have sessions for chocolate and sugar addiction, weekend weight loss, motivation to exercise, self-image. So again, almost anything you can think of. We have sessions for late night eating that will give you some tips to offset that. But the key is you have to substitute something for it. That glass of water, most of the time when people are hungry, Lillian's right, all you really need is water. Mm-hmm. But you don't know that because you've mistaken the signals.
That's right. Dr. Furman says that most people are confusing toxic hunger. It's like it's your body is getting rid of some toxins and you get weak, you get shaky, and then all of a sudden you eat something because we've been told that we're like for me, I was told that I was what is this? Not hypoglycemic. I was told I was hypoglycemic and I had to eat every 2 hours.
Yeah.
That is so far from the truth. It was like my body was like detoxifying. It was like going, it's like, oh man, I'm getting the shakes. I got to eat again because that was what I was taught. And so your mind continues to perpetuate what you've been taught. And so, so when I'm doing BrainTap, and it's funny, every time I see Patrick, every time I see Patrick, I always say, Patrick, don't make me cluck like a chicken. Don't make me cluck like a chicken. Because, you think that you're being manipulative, but what you're doing is you're using what we have and you're rewriting the program so that now we're choosing these things for ourselves. So if we are hungry, what Dr. Furman says is that we feel hunger in our throat. And let me tell you, I went 7 days. I did a water fast, Michael, for 7 days. I never felt hungry. Never felt hunger. And so that's how bad, that's how, what a bad relationship we have it's a toxic relationship we have with food.
Yeah. And we have a nutritional series that will help people understand how to work with their body instead of unknowingly working against it, because that's what we found too. Yes, we can help with the mental, emotional. We can help you have less stress, sleep better, but you also have to change your chemistry because whatever you were doing is part of the equation. So that has to change too.
That's right. That's right. So today I'm talking to you about BrainTap. Now, when usually around halftime, I go and I thank my sponsors. I encourage you to go to my website. And the reason why I do that is because without our sponsors, there would be no classroom. Without the people that are supporting the classroom, whether it's BrainTap, that you're able to go in there and to whenyouneedafriend.com and click on it and get a 15-day free trial or a 45-day trial for 99 cents. Just make sure if you don't want to continue it, you just discontinue it. If you do the 15-day trial, you're not giving any information other than your email address and the phone number or whatever, but that's it. Or your name. And that way they know that you've done your 15-day. And if you decide that you want to continue with the app, the app costs monthly. But let me tell you, we spend more money on mindless stuff like Netflix and all this mindless television that we watch. And when I say we, I mean the world is watching things that are programming us, desensitizing us so that we are numb to ourselves. So I want to encourage you, because these are the conversations that we're having here in the classroom. Not only check out BrainTap, but go to whenyouneedafriend.com, subscribe. And when you subscribe, you get all sorts of free gifts. You get all sorts of things that are just absolutely wonderful that you could choose for yourself. And so check out all my website, my social media, follow. Tell people about this because there's so much we don't know, and we're being told that we're powerless. Like if you get a dis-ease, and there's meditations here for people who have cancer, for people that have a dis-ease or stress or anxious, depressed, and there's not just one, there's 55 of them for that particular session. So you can buy a a session, not a session. What are they called?
Bundles.
A bundle. You can buy one bundle for one price for less than Netflix,
Yes.
and you can listen to this every night, and then you listen to in order. You listen to it in order, and then when you're done, you start all over again, because you don't want to repeat the pattern, because if you repeat the pattern, if you listen to the same thing over and over, this was what blew me away. If you listen to the same thing over and over and over and over again, your brain will anticipate it. The beats and the lights and all that, your brain will get so used to it, and then it'll ignore it. That's how things go into our subconscious mind too. We ignore it. And so they've got it all figured out. How many years, Michael, have you guys, like 30 years been working on this?
1987 is when we
1987
had our first unit.
Wow. Okay. So when you go to whenyouneedafriend.com, like I said, become a subscriber. Check out my sponsors, like Keep Me Safe Organics. We have First Alternative Care. Keep Me Safe Organics. What I said, this one is beauty products that are all organic, and that's what I use from head to toe. We have the pharmacy in Merritt Island. We have Geyer Wellness Group. We have beautiful Jennifer Grameth with Right Way Health and Wellness. There's so many different. Go check it out. I mean, I could name them all, but go check it out and support them the way that they're supporting the classroom. I also have the affiliate program, which is in the Shop Now bag, which that helps give the classroom a little bit of residual income, so that we can continue to grow. It's BrainTap and Avasia. And of course, we have the ground therapy, which will help you with reducing inflammation. So check out my sponsors, figure out how you can support them. Also, if you want to be an enrolled student in the classroom and you want to help donate your time, your talent, your treasure, whether it's $10 or $1,000 a month, we are welcoming all those gifts, because we are pretty much on the generosity of all those who listen to the classroom and benefit from it. And so today we're talking with Michael Porter. He is the National Education Director. I love this organization. They're the kindest people, really easy to work with. If there's anything that you need, they're there for you. And that is what I've discovered I've been working with you guys now for what, 2 years or a year and a half. And I remember when I first met you, Michael, I wanted to start working with you guys right away, because it blew me away that I was able to, I don't think I told you this, and I don't think any of you know this, and I've not shared this before. I could fall asleep in a car like that, because I know who's driving me, and I can just relax and fall asleep, especially on a long trip, or if I've been tired. I think that's what my parents did. I think they drove me around to get me to sleep. But if I'm in a plane, an airplane, I could not, for the life of me. I've flown to France. I've flown to England. I do not sleep at all. It is something that I stay awake. When I'm in public, like when you go to these workshops or these trade shows, I would never fall asleep. I fell asleep the first time. I don't think I fell asleep. I think I was so relaxed that I was completely out of my brain. And that's when we learn the most, right, Michael?
Yes. And that's why the TV puts you there, because they want you to buy their advertising, for sure. But I wanted to say one thing about the grounding you brought up. I think that's an important tool, because a lot of people think that they're going to go walk on the beach for a half hour and ground themselves, but you might be sleeping in an environment for 6, 7, 8 hours where you need to be grounded. But like Bruce Lipton says, your body's either in protection or growth. You want your body in growth, and if you're grounded, you're going to be in growth. So that's something I definitely recommend to anyone who wants to get better health, for sure.
Yeah.
And the other thing,
go ahead.
The other thing you brought up is it's only $9.99 for the weight loss bundle. So like Lillian said, you can waste $9.99 in one trip to the grocery store. So for some of you who've lost weight but keep gaining it back and don't know what that missing piece to the puzzle is, BrainTap's it, because you have to get the mental, emotional piece. and you have to have a good self-image so that your subconscious can reinforce that naturally thin you instead of the picture continues to reinforce what you don't want.
Yeah, because those are the 80% of the negative thoughts that were going through your mind. And that's why we need to rewrite the program. And this is a great tool, a very easy and simple tool that you can use every day. Now, how often can we do this? Because if somebody's smoking and they're taking 20 breaks, or going to drink coffee, or doing something that is like not as good for the body, how often can we do brain tap? And how far do we need to spread out the sessions?
The best way to do it is 3 times a day, at least 4 hours in between. Again, your pancreas can only secrete so much insulin, your adrenals, and so your neurohormones too. You can only do so much with BrainTap. So if you can spread that out 4 times a day, like when you get up somewhere in the afternoon to reboot your brain and before you go to bed or after work, those are all great times. Doesn't mean that you can't do it more than that. Most people aren't going to have the lifestyle for that. What we recommended, at least those of you listening who are going to take advantage of the 15 days, take 4 to 6 weeks and do it 3 times a day as much as you can. That's going to put a good foundation. And then after that, if you only want to do it twice, that's okay, but 3 is going to be better.
And is this when people purchase this the $9.99, like if they want 6 bundles, right? You can get 6 bundles. What are the bundles that are in the is it the $29.99?
Yeah. So there's sleep, there's stress, there's weight, there's learning, there's optimal health, and there's fear and doubt. So in the fear and doubt as an example, we had 3 series that are really good. And it's the mind mastery, I can, and better life me. So Patrick has taken the best sessions and put them into all these categories. And there's going to be at least 30 sessions or more in each of these bundles. Plus, you don't have to worry about what to listen to for morning or night. There's a go to sleep and a wake up folder.
Yeah.
In all of them.
I love that because there's some things that you listen to that you want to just be like wide awake and go do your day. Like sometimes I get a little tired and I'll listen to my brain tap, and it's like, better than drinking coffee because I can't drink coffee. If I drink coffee, the caffeine releases at 2:00 in the morning. It doesn't do anything for me during the day, but my body hoards it and says, hello, wake up. It's 2:00 in the morning. And so I stopped drinking coffee a long time ago. So, having like that picker upper, and Karen says, I am not hungry. I am just bored. So you're right. So this would entrain your brain. This would be a great product for you.
She can just teach her brain how to make another choice because she's choosing to do that. It's not a habit anymore once she's telling us that.
Yeah.
So she can make another healthy or more positive choice.
Yes, absolutely. And I want to remind you that if you have a question, type in a Q and I will read it for Michael. So let me see. I don't see a Q on, I see someone's, Jacqueline. I don't see, where's your question, Jacqueline? I see that you put it at the end. I'm excited to watch this live. Okay, so I see, how much is it? Okay, so how much is it? We talked about it's $100 off. I think the price is what, $649?
It's it'll be $647, but she would get it for $547.
$547. So you would have to get it through my website too. So, but let me tell you, you don't need the headset. I love the headset because it gives me everything, the lights, the ears. Let's talk about the far infrared for the lights. What does this do?
So what the lights are doing there is they're stimulating the meridians in the ear.
Yes.
Which are, again, every part of your body is in the ear, like it's like in your hands and your foot with reflexology. So it's just another way. Plus it's pulsing a hertz to relax the nervous system.
Yes. And, when I first started using this, it's still, it feels really hot sometimes in my ears. I can feel the heat, but it's not hot. So
sometimes that's blockages.
Yes.
Blockages released.
That's right. So that's why I love this. I love the headset. I can't say enough about it. So people who have low self-esteem issues, how could this help them?
Well, part of it is the picture they keep reinforcing. Most people label themselves, judge themselves, invalidate themselves, put themselves lowest on the totem pole just because we've been comparing ourselves to magazine covers or actors or actress or our whole life. So instead of being empowered for who you are and the greatness that you contain, we're going to help give you some suggestions that'll help empower you so that you can be the person you've always wanted to be. And like we said, we don't have to look at it as a program. You're going to write a script. So this script that you're going to be rewriting is the 2021 you.
Well, let's talk about the 2021 you. So what are some of the things that
A good example is
yes,
people have had to change their habits in 2020. So they were forced to. So people now who didn't want to change certain things were forced to because what we had to go through last year. So it should be easier now for some people to start changing. But the thing is like we said from the beginning, there's an emotional, mental piece to everything. The picture you're holding on to is the most important thing. That's what you want to give your time and energy to and your investment to. So the $9.99 investment we're talking about is priceless if you've been struggling with weight loss.
yeah,
It could be priceless if you have an addiction. It could be priceless if you have any of these situations. You need better sleep. You need to have less stress. These are all side effects. But what we found out in working with people 30 years ago, I think that inspired us more than anything. What these people came in for wasn't their problem. It was just a side effect of what we're talking about today. When they changed and their whole quality of life changed, their relationships changed, whether it was at home and family, at work, and you get to see these people 10, 20, 30 years later, that we gave them the tools to change. So that was empowering for us because that's all we were looking for. And then we had the ability to give it to other people because really BrainTap's goal is to change 1 billion brains. And today we're trying to help people change some butt, hips, back, and bellies too.
That's great. That's a great slogan. That's a great slogan. Okay, so as we, I had a question for you, but you just completely that was too funny. I just had to laugh that one out. But that's true.
Yes.
It is true. And what's happened with people are waking up, Michael. 2020, I think, has created a great awakening, and people realize that they're not who they want to be.
Yeah.
And they're being controlled by every single, there is a video that I saw. It's called it's like deceiving the people that are people that are the people that are like, they get on there and say, do this, influencers, influencing the influencers is the name of the video, influencing the influencer. So this guy who is mind control kind of person, and he had 3 top influencers, and on the way there and during everything that was set up set up to control their response. Every single one of them responded the way that he had predicted, and they were blown away. They thought that they were not going to be influenced, and they all created a video with a product, and they did the exact same thing. And so watch it. It's called Influencing the Influencers. So so we have about 2 minutes left, Michael. And we're not going to have a long teacher's pet corner because I've got a place to go.
Yeah.
If somebody would rock in right now into this conversation, and they want to know what this is all about, what would be your 2-minute speech, 2-minute, get them to want to try this for free on the website?
Well, it's not going to cost them anything to give the 15 days a try. But one of the things that most of you haven't looked into is the emotional mental component to your health and to your life. So what BrainTap can do is give you that boost to your self-esteem, self-worth, self-image. Plus it can help some of these changes that you wanted to make, but you just didn't have the tools to do it. And when we get you into that learning state, and you can see new ways of doing it, then your subconscious will have actionable items to be able to act on so that they can become now what's easy, effortless, and automatic for you until you decide to change it. But again, it comes down to being committed, being consistent, and being compliant in what we're saying today. If you have those three things, you're going to be successful. But the tools have been what you've been missing.
And it is a great healing modality. I call it a healing modality because, and it's not, and it doesn't bring any chemicals into your body. It just works with what you have and helps you achieve what you need. And I want all of you that are watching either today or tomorrow or whenever you pull this video up, I want you to go to whenyouneedafriend.com, go to my Shop Now bag, and click on the 15-day trial, because I don't like to talk about negatives like what do you have to lose? No. What do you have to win? What do you get to win? That's the way that we entrain the brain. So I want to encourage you to check out the free 15-day trial. Michael, thank you so much for coming in today and helping us understand BrainTap and why I love it so much and why you love it so much.
Yes.
Okay, please remember, we'll be right here waiting for you worldwide at whenyouneedafriend.com. This is Lillian Mcdermott and Michael Porter wishing you love, peace, joy, and unexpected abundance. Make it the best day ever. Good job. Good job.
The opinions and advice expressed on the Lillian Mcdermott radio show are intended for the individual callers and guests on the program and are presented to our wider audience solely for general educational purposes. Please act responsibly and consult personally with your own medical, psychological, or nutritional expert before taking any steps to improve your life.
Michael, thank you so much for being in the classroom today. I know that there is so much more to BrainTap than we were even able to dip our toe in today. Is there anything that we didn't discuss that you'd like to share?
I think mainly, like you talked about with Bruce Lipton and the emotion code, there are ways that people can get additional research and what helps to reinforce what we do and to understand that, because even though we made a joke about the butt, hips, back, and belly, there's an emotional connection to why they hold weight in those areas. And they have to understand that, because all those external things are trying to get their conscious mind's attention. That's why they show up. But we just don't know what they're trying to do. And weight a lot of times is the same thing. The other thing I was going to bring up that Bruce brings up is about the time his book came out, most people in the late 90s were starting to blame their weight on genetics from their parents. So I would always tell them, well, you need to read this book because your genes can't turn themselves on. You have to create the internal or external environment that your father or grandfather or grandmother created to turn it on. So that was a big thing we had to fight in the 90s.
We still are. We still are. In a way, we still are. You would think that people would know that we are not our DNA. What we inherit are the family recipes, the way they stress, the way they think, the way they act. Those are the things that are recorded into our subconscious that play over and over and over. And I love the fact that this is, because I've gotten to know you, Fran, and Patrick, who all work together as a family in this family business. I know that Fran is doing other things now, but I just love the fact that this is a labor of love. It really is, because to create that much energy, when you could people listen to the same thing over and over and over and over again, but you guys are constantly making BrainTap a better tool, a better gift for people to embrace. And so I'm very grateful to all of you. As a matter of fact, as you were talking about Bruce Lipton and the different areas of the body where stress goes and with, we focus on that on the I Am the Solution workshop as well. Perfect. And I started thinking, maybe you should join us and give a talk in one of our workshops so that people can understand that this is not just me, not Bruce, not Dr. Bradley. We are living examples of how this works. Have you ever been blown away. You know this information, but have you seen it firsthand to the point where it brings you to your knees and you go, oh my gosh, we're up to transformation.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm so grateful that this is something I'm a part of. Is there any story that you can share before we go about how BrainTap helped somebody?
Well, really, everything you can think of in the last 30 years we've heard, but we don't like to take credit for it. We used to have therapists who do that, and I said you need to take credit for all the people who didn't succeed. Too, we like to point out that the person took the effort and initiative, and we gave them the tools to change so that they realized it was them. We didn't want people to think we did it so they would depend on us. But we gave them the tools to change. And like you were talking about, Bruce, when I first heard his first lecture from 89, it took him till 2003 to read his book, till he had the book. I wished I'd have had it earlier to give to people, because trying to explain to something wasn't as easy. But like you're saying, right now in 2021, everything that people have gone through, this is a perfect time for them to be able to change. But why these other things don't work, like you said, is they're doing the same thing over and over again. We're changing it. We're changing that algorithm to make it different. So we know it works, and we get feedback constantly. So, but if I'm going to give credit, the people still had to take the initiative to want to change. They just got the tools. So we know anybody who can change. The other thing I would say is in Michael Talbot's holographic universe, there were examples of people with multiple personalities. So one multiple personality was definitely ill of cats. The other wasn't. The same body. One personality could play the piano, could speak another language. It was the same body, same chemistry. So that's like Bruce Lipton says, you have these 300,000 blueprints, but it's the filters that choose how you react. So that's how we knew people could change instantly, by changing here, just in those examples of multiple personalities that science doesn't understand.
That is very profound. Very profound, because yes, it's true.
Yeah.
There are people who don't know how to do anything, and you put them in that other person, their alter ego or whatever, and they're out there, you know, they're dancing and playing the piano and speaking foreign languages.
And one other thing with that is they did blood studies with people who had like leukemia and other things, and they didn't have it in the other personality. So this is the same body.
What?
Yes.
Can you repeat that again? I think I heard you, but I want to make sure I heard you well.
They would do blood profiles with these people, and their chemistry was totally different when they were the other person.
Oh my goodness.
So it's just like they couldn't be around cats. So Michael Talbot unfortunately passed away early, but his holographic universe, I put it in the same category as the other people we're talking about today. His work was profound. In that whole quantum field about how your mind works in different things. So it's one to look into. We won't be able to interview him, but
no, I can't say that I have unless I get downloads from him.
But he's great stuff in this area we're talking about, that I used to use those examples or metaphors with clients when they didn't think they understood what I meant, just so they knew how powerful their body and brain and chemistry was.
No, that is very, very interesting information. I didn't even think about that. There are people that have I interviewed at the beginning of when I first started in the radio, I interviewed a guy that had like 27 different personalities. And I interviewed him on the air with his therapist that was with us. And it was amazing. One was gay, one was straight, one was very intellectual, one was very emotional, one was a child. I mean, there were so many. And the guy that was straight tried to hit on me. Actually, and the lesbian tried to hit on me too, even though it was a man. So it's amazing how our mind is so powerful, and we have not even tapped into it. So I'm just glad that you guys have.
Oh yeah, and thank our dad. He got us a lot of the books to read at first, and we had a good foundation for it. And that's what we've done our whole life, really.
Wow. Wow. Well, Michael, thank you so much again for coming out today and educating us and giving us some food for thought,
Yes.
as well as create some actions that we can take. So once again, go to whenyouneedafriend.com, go to the Shop Now bag. It's right in the homepage. Click on it, and there is the BrainTap. Click on it and start your 15-day free trial. But if you want to do a 45-day trial, I think it's $1.99.
Yes.
But you do have to give your credit card information when you do that. But if you just want to do the 15-day trial, there's no credit card information. So that means that if you do decide the 45 and you decide on the 44th day you don't want to continue, make sure you cancel it, because you will be charged on the 45th day or 46th day. So again, go to whenyouneedafriend.com and let's continue to learn and grow and heal together. Thank you guys for watching. We look forward to our next time. And Michael, you're an amazing guy. I've always enjoyed being in your presence and learning so much from you. Today is no different. So thank you.
Thank you very much.
Okay. So goodbye.